$250 each. Deux gagnants, $250 chaque.
This is Kahnawake, Mohawk territory, opening night.
I just wanted to say on behalf of the clan mothers, a special thank you to our warriors, because if it wasn't for them, we would not be able to have this tonight, because they are fulfilling their duties by maintaining and protecting the boundaries of Kahnawake and Yawakoa.
Okay. The last digit. We'll go through the whole number again to make sure we don't make mistakes. 0, 7. Oh yeah, when we do the last... Oh, come on, I'll give it a break. We only give away a car once in the first day. This little machine right here, don't stand too much in front of it. It was donated by the Warrior Society, so I don't know what the hell's in it. So, the number is 0, 7, 6, 0, 2, 1.
Mohawks have not applied for a lottery permit. Authorities will seize the prize.
Did you consider anything less controversial than a bingo hall?
No, because no matter what we do, it's going to be controversial. Okay, no matter what we do is against the law, unless we want to kowtow to the government.
Mohawks call them SQ, the Sûreté du Québec Provincial Police Force. They have raided Kahnawake, occupied Akwesasne. Then they attacked a combined group of Mohawks over a land dispute at Ganazadage near Oka.
I could see the smoke blowing that way towards the road. And they started coming over, just like on TV. They started coming over. And I saw them, and I said, they're coming in, they're coming in. And then it was at that point that they opened fire. We really didn't expect it. You know, from the beginning we expected a confrontation, but we didn't expect the intensity of the attack. We expected to be met with a riot squad or dogs or something and be dragged away, which we were perfectly willing to get arrested in that. They insisted later on that they were only shooting over our heads, but the bullet holes in the trees are at chest level. And there's no way that they weren't shooting to kill us.
It was referred to as a botched raid. No one would dare imagine what would have happened had the raid been declared a success.
Mohawk people seeking talks, one man's people throwing rocks. The warrior's cause will be remembered. No native land will be surrendered. Goddamn Moroni, goddamn Barassa, goddamn the army and the Sûreté. Goddamn Moroni, goddamn Barassa, goddamn LaSalle and Chateauguay.
Nega di ogni, nena otasi guarda questa qua haje.
The Longhouse at Ganawage, a sacred place. This is a special day. Guests representing several European sovereign nations are here. The European Parliament has passed a resolution condemning Canada for its treatment of Native people. This delegation is on a fact-finding mission.
In welcoming our guests here today, he also gives greetings to you. He extends the greetings of our leaders.
Natives from across Canada have come here to meet the delegation.
Welcome officially to Ganawage.
Grand Chief Joe Norton welcomes Elijah Harper. Elijah Harper, no one spared him a thought until history was in his hands. Canada was redrafting its constitution. The Meech Lake Accord was designed to keep the country together, but Native people were excluded from the process.
There comes a time when you have to stand up for your rights, and certainly we brought that to the attention of the Canadian public, to the international community, and hopefully that governments will start listening.
After Elijah Harper scuttled the Meech Lake Accord, Native people were taken more seriously as a political force. The European delegation is taken to the Ganawage Super Bingo Hall, closed since last summer.
There is a lot of interest in Europe in how Canada copes with Native questions. The interest, of course, has been fueled in recent months by the publicity generated by the events in Oka. We did not come here with preconceived convictions. We come here with an open mind, and we will listen during the next few days to organizations of indigenous peoples, but also to the federal government and the government of Quebec. My job here, our job, is not, and that may surprise you for a politician, our job here is not to talk, but to listen.
The Europeans will now be told about the events that took place last summer.
Well, what's going on actually, in my way of looking at it, is that the province of Quebec wants to settle its internal situation over here, the Indian situation, before it ventures on the new relationship with the rest of Canada.
You know, when they lost the Meech Lake Accord, that's when they really started kicking us around, because they say it does not have anything to do with Meech Lake Accord. It does. Because what went on in the Meech Lake Accord was only from 11 men. Nobody knew anything about it. It was behind closed doors. And there was never mentioned anything about the Aboriginal person in that Meech Lake. So I tip my hat to Elijah Harper for throwing the monkey wrench in the machine.
Mohawks considered themselves North American, a sovereign people, part of the Iroquois Confederacy, whose influence was felt as far as the Mississippi. Canada's federal Indian Affairs Minister would call the Mohawks 18th century immigrants from the northeastern United States. Mohawks would answer that Canada and the U.S. didn't even exist until recently, and they didn't like being called immigrants by recently displaced persons from Europe.
The issues are sovereignty. The issues are jurisdiction. The United Nations has issued some sort of point parameters for nationhood. and they relate to identifiable geographic area, traditional holdings, the capacity to defend, and the control of the situation by the people. And even within that context, our people have their traditional lands. Our geographic areas are well established historically. Our willingness to defend this land, if it was ever in question, is no longer in question. And as for the control, it is in the hands of our people where it should be. Not in the hands of representatives, not in the hands of prime ministers, premiers, ministers. It's in the hands of our people and where it's going to stay.
The traditional way for Mohawks to make decisions is by consensus. Colonial rulers outlawed the practice.
Puppet elected band councils were then set up under police protection. From that day until this, only a tiny proportion of Iroquois see these councils as legitimate, yet they are the only ones recognized by Canadian law. Mr. Mulrooney and Mr. Bourassa talk as if the loss of Iroquois land is also something that belongs to the distant past. In truth, the Mohawks have lost more land since 1950 than in the previous 100 years. They have lost it to compulsory purchase by white governments eager to build bridges, including the Mercier, hydro dams, and the St. Lawrence Seaway, cheaply at Indian expense.
They have found archaeological sites not far from here, 18 miles from here. They said Indians were never in this area, and they found this site where our people have existed for 4,000 years. Right in the heart of Quebec City, Place Royale, where Champlain landed. They just found this year an Iroquois village down below. Tadoussac, they found Iroquois that were trading with the Montagnais Indians. Hunting and fishing camps of the Mohawk people as far north as Lake Mistassini. Now, Hochelaga, they try to say it's another group of people who vanished that were living there.
It's ours, but there's no way like we're gonna get everything back.
Off.
But no, we're not gonna kick 1 million people off an island just because we own it. We'll just say we have title to it, and I don't know, get some kind of either compensation, but we have a title saying. So if we decide to buy a piece of land in Chateauguay, well, since we already own it, well, we won't pay taxes on the land because it's already ours.
What's more criminal than white men coming from Europe, stealing the whole continent, 2 continents, and slaughtering the people to the extent of 120 million of dead Indians that they killed just to take over the land.
The testimony goes on, but the actual event that began the summer of conflict took place at a symbolic barricade among some pine trees at Ganazadage near Oka.
The Mohawk watched and waited today, continued to man the barricade they've been guarding for 4 months.
We're waiting. We're waiting for some kind of response from the Government of Canada.
Native Affairs Minister John Chacha asked the mayor to postpone indefinitely any plans to build on land the Mohawks claim is theirs.
Are you ready now to abandon the project?
No. Is that clear?
But the mayor no longer intends to ask municipal workers to remove the barrier. He wants provincial police to do the job.
I said, we're giving you the case, have somebody to respect the law. The way they're going to do it, it's not my concern, it's not my job.
Meanwhile, the Mohawk are appealing the injunction and show little sign of backing down.
Let them come. We'll have a party, aren't we?
Provincial police have still not said whether they intend to enforce the injunction, but judging from their cautious attitude so far, the chances of them coming in and trying to take this barrier down seem rather small. John Curtin, CBC News, Oka.
It's a sunny day with some clouds today, July 11th, and it's a Wednesday. The temperature now is 19 degrees. It should be a high of 24 degrees. The record high for this day, it was in 1987, was 32 degrees. And Janet, are you there?
I am here.
How's it going out there?
Well, we've got a lot of traffic problems this morning. For people who are just waking up, the Mercier Bridge has been blocked off by the Kahnawake Warriors. You cannot get anywhere near it. They have put up barricades, and then provincial police, Montreal City Police, and
The bridge and roads leading to it were blocked as soon as word came from Oka. An SQ SWAT team had just arrived at the symbolic barricade in the Pines.
Good morning. Here is the 8:30 CBC Regional News. The long-awaited confrontation between natives and police in Oka has come.
Jean, we're just going to have to break away for a minute. We have to go to Ivan Slobod, who's out at the blockade in Oka. We'll come back in just a minute. Yeah, Ivan's on the line. Hello, Ivan.
Good morning, Shelley.
How are you doing?
Oh, I could be a little better. I didn't know when I joined CBC that... I don't know if you can hear any of that.
Yes, which sounds like shots.
They launched, I don't know, about half a dozen or a dozen canisters of tear gas. There's smoke covering, a 30 or 40 square meter area, and basically it's blocking off my view now of the bulldozer that's going to move the barricade.
Ivan, from as much as you can see, are the warriors pulling back now?
Oh, everybody was. I mean, we're moving cars, we're moving camps, we're moving people, reporters.
Are those shots, Ivan? Hello? I was speaking with Ivan Slobod, who's out at the Oka blockade.
Wednesday, July 11th. Tonight on The National. A deadly shootout at Oka. Compromises for the sake of unity at the G7 summit. And on The Journal, the Oka standoff. Why a dispute over a golf course flared into a fatal gunfight. The National with Peter Mansbridge.
Good evening. It was a bloody day at the Mohawk Indian community in Oka, Quebec, near Montreal. Provincial police in riot gear stormed the barricades the Mohawks had set up. There were clouds of tear gas, a hail of bullets, and in the midst of the battle, a policeman was killed. All this because of a dispute over a piece of forest the Indians claim is theirs, a forest town council wants to bulldoze to expand the local golf course.
I'm trying to get behind a tree, actually, and the tear gas is starting to come. But as you can hear, there's semi-automatic weapon fire, and it appears to be coming from the police line.
Fearing a second raid, warriors now set up a barricade on the highway. The Oka siege has begun. The town, once famous for its robust cheese, would now be better known for its 9-hole golf course.
No. Everyone has maintained control. Everyone is angry and fed up with this bullshit that's going on.
Downriver from Oka, suddenly, there is new interest in Native people.
But we must never forget, ladies and gentlemen, that this land was once home of proud Indian people. The reserve is called Caughnawaga. The Indians call it Kahnawake. They are Mohawk Indians belonging to the Iroquoian family.
Some journalists have heard of Louis Hall of Kahnawake. Years back, he wrote, Rebuilding the Iroquois Confederacy. The media hope he will shed light on the mysterious warriors portrayed in his manifesto. The warriors have been blamed for the conflict by the authorities.
There would have been more trouble by now if they had done anything really criminal.
Well, a man was killed in Oka, for example, last week.
And there's a question about who shot him. And also he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Somebody had to be close to him to shoot him, so where the two vests meet, that's where he was shot. Maybe somebody's standing right beside him. And they're not, of course, the police are not letting anybody know if they... Maybe there's the man is... they want him dead, and then that's a good place to do it, you know, and blame it on the Indians, you know, again, you know. They're blaming everything on the Indians.
The great law of peace, the Iroquois Constitution, calls on all men to become warriors when the nation is threatened. This law has governed Mohawks for more than 1,000 years.
I'm too old to be a warrior, for one thing. And I can't run from point A to point B in fast enough.
The funeral of Corporal Marcel Lemay. They represent police associations from across Canada, federal and provincial cabinet ministers, and other dignitaries.
Et sûrement, comme tu l'aurais souhaité, connaissant ton sens du devoir, le groupe continuera son travail avec le même professionnalisme, sans esprit de vengeance.
Nous ne trouverons pas de réponse à nos questions dans la vengeance, les représailles ou la révolte.
At Oka, a Mohawk warrior flag is hung at half-mast. The SQ denied firing any shots during the raid on the Pines. 2 days later, officials learned the fatal bullet was a military .223. A news blackout is imposed. One journalist, curious enough to examine the trees at the Oka Pines, reported in a U.S. military magazine that nearly all the shots came from the police side. Investigators would later admit the SQ fired, but only in retreat. They would also say the SQ did not use military shells, but soft lead, hollow-tipped bullets, the kind some people call dum-dums. In the midst of the crisis, police associations across Canada would publish full-page ads in newspapers decrying the murder of Corporal Lemay and demanding that Mohawks who ambushed him be brought to justice.
The people of Chateauguay had something to look at today, but it was a sight that didn't please their eyes. Huge mounds of earth pushed onto Highway 138, a reinforcement to the Mohawk barricade blocking access to the Mercier Bridge.
If the Indian want to support the Oka people, they just have to drive over there and bring their support over there, not involve the city being, like prisoners. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
With frustration mounting here, more than 1,100 people have signed a petition demanding the army intervene. Last night, for the second time in a row, an effigy of an Indian was hanged and burned near the barricade. The crowd cheered. But not everyone here says the Mohawks are responsible for this crisis.
But the person who started this, the mayor of Oka, he's the one that should come here and regulate the whole problem.
The Kahnawake barricades cut off access to the Mercier Bridge. Kahnawake residents who work in Montreal must also endure detours and delays. They fear reprisals if they go by road. They feel safer crossing the St. Lawrence River by boat.
Has there been any interference at all from the SQ?
No, the SQ have been really nice. I mean, really quiet. They're out there. They're out there. They're just onlooking, just watching us from the water itself, and just making sure that I guess everybody's got the life preserver jackets on. Everything's been really quiet, and they've been really cool.
For the SQ, holidays are on hold. Over the course of the summer, they will put in 2 million hours of overtime. As the ring around Kahnawake closes, the RCMP and the SQ step up river patrols. The roads are blocked, and the airspace around Kahnawake is off limits. Communication, even by letter, is suspect. The peacekeepers, Kahnawake police force, have a new assignment.
They drive to the barricade, and then the SQ check the mail, and this morning they allowed it to come to our barricade, and we made the exchange on our side. The two previous times the exchange was made on the SQ side of the barricade.
Kahnawake is now under a form of medieval siege. The store shelves are empty. The town sets up a food bank.
We appealed to the people to bring in any food that they had extra, and others came in to get it because we do share.
There's oranges,
Mohawks now make an appeal to the Red Cross and the International Federation of Human Rights.
O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I come before you, one of your many children. I am small and weak. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have made, my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me ever ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes, so when life fades as a fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame.
So if they don't leave, there's going to be no more Indians? Is that what you're saying? You'll get rid of us? I'm listening. I'm listening.
The peacekeepers have verified that the outside barricades on Route 207 have been closed by the SQ for our own safety. We understand there is a group of demonstrators out there threatening people who leave or try to enter. Also, the Golden Age Club will be open for anyone who wishes to play radio bingo and whose telephone is out of service. Many of them are in town. So remember that Route 207 is closed for the time being for our own safety. And 5 minutes after 12, and time to get back to some more music.
It's morning rush hour, and the Champlain Bridge is half empty. There's chaos on Highway 15 as westbound traffic heads for the eastbound lane. Cars are crawling on the 132. People in masks are driving them.
My bridge is closed for about 4 weeks. That's the answer we give back to Mr. Bourassa, so we will see it. That people of Chateauguay are tired of that.
We do have some messages to pass your way. The wedding of Burgess, Dybel, and Cheryl is canceled until further notice. Also, the Indian Way School on Mohawk Trail will be having a registration on Monday, September 10th.
Every time there's anything going on, it's the Indians that done it. Now, all this time in Chateauguay, all that rumpus was going on was all started by the French people in the SQ. Because some people recognize them. When they leave at night with their uniforms, they come back with no uniforms, but they recognize them, they come back at night, and they're doing all that trouble and everything else. So we keep this in mind, that this government is very, very rotten. Quebec, at least, government. And you know, when you lie, just like the cartoons we see, Pinocchio, your nose getting longer and longer. Now you'll take a look at Bourassa. His nose is about a foot long now.
The Quebec Premier issues a 48-hour ultimatum and a request for the army.
In other news, Iraq this morning declared that it is annexed Kuwait. In a TV broadcast, the government
Reports of atrocities in Kuwait have Kahnawake residents even more on edge.
I have 2 older sons. They're age 6 and 8, and they're forbidden now to watch the news. Twice they watched it. It was really traumatic for them because they couldn't understand. And it was even harder for me to try and explain to them that all people aren't like that. My 8-year-old was just terrified when he saw an effigy of a Mohawk warrior being burnt at the stake, because to him that represented his father and his grandfather and a lot of his uncles. And he was really terrified. And then I had to try and explain to him, why are the people saying, go ahead and let the army go in and kill all of them? So since then, we've forbidden both of our sons to no longer watch the news because it's taken a toll on them, and it's even harder for me to try and explain it to them. Yes, and I'll probably have to explain it to him one day.
Programs normally seen at this time have been canceled or rescheduled so that we may bring you the following CBC News Special.
Good afternoon from CBC Montreal. The Prime Minister is expected to make a statement in the next few minutes concerning, we are told, the Mohawk crisis and perhaps the Persian Gulf.
The government of Quebec, with our full knowledge and support, has attempted to resolve the public security and administration of justice issues which fall within their jurisdiction, but has been, as you know, unsuccessful. Le Premier Ministre du Québec a
The
demandé
Premier
l'aide des
of
forces
Quebec has
canadiennes
requested the assistance of the Canadian Armed Forces
à la confrontation.
in order to try to put an end to the confrontation. This decision of Premier
The Prime Minister names a judge to preside over the signing of an agreement between government and Mohawks. Preconditions include international observers. Negotiations would then start. Until then, the army stays far away.
I don't know what the Canadian government will ultimately decide. All of us here in North America have centuries now of experience with the government of Canada and with the government of the United States, and they've massacred many of our people, you know. Our numbers have gotten a lot smaller. We can only hope that the tremendous international pressure that's been put on them will prevail, that reason will prevail, that they will, like us, seek a peaceful resolution to this, and that they will understand finally that this is our land, that we have a right to defend our land. That's what I hope happens.
The signing took place not far from where Sûreté du Québec Corporal Marcel Lemay was shot dead during a failed police raid on the Mohawk barricades.
Today is a breakthrough. Today we've agreed on preconditions. That means that now we can sit down and discuss the dismantling of the barricades.
The same day, this one event changes everything. Demonstrators from Chateauguay try to seize a bridge of their own, a drawbridge which spans the St. Lawrence Seaway upriver from Kahnawake. Their plan was to hold this bridge at St. Louis de Gonzague until Mohawks are dislodged from the Mercier Bridge. That night in Chateauguay, the bloodiest riots of the summer, a reaction to the drawbridge confrontation. The next night, the crowds take on the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. A population out of control. The Mohawk warriors on the other side of the barricades simply watch. The Quebec Premier once again calls the army. Could they please make their presence felt by moving into the area? The problem now is not Mohawks, it is the mob. The army has moved to Saint-Remy, Quebec, within striking distance of both Kahnawake and Chateauguay. The troops have come from as far as Gagetown, New Brunswick, home of the Royal Canadian Regiment, Canada's oldest. Their first action was against Louis Riel and the Métis, who were of French and Indian descent. The issue then was also sovereignty. These troops are from Valcartier, Quebec, the Royal 22nd or Vendus, the elite French-Canadian regiment. Just as negotiations to end the standoff begin, the Quebec Premier asks the army to relieve police at the Chateauguay barricades.
Tu cloues ta pancarte après ça, ta main. On va trouver. C'est pas un problème.
At the Montreal side of the Mercier Bridge,
Et puis la faire tenir.
the mobs have come over from Chateauguay, where the army has moved in. Here, the police are still in charge, at least officially.
Ouais, là. Oui, mais c'est parce que c'est qu'il faut qu'elle soit haute, tout le monde la voit tout.
The demonstrators have been allowed on the bridge. From here, they can monitor anything coming out of Kahnawake.
Laissez faire, là, c'est fini, là, laissez dépasser.
Moi, je couvre la crise depuis le début. J'étais à Châteauguay, je demeure pas à Châteauguay, je demeure aux alentours d'ici. Et puis, je la couvrais à Châteauguay. J'écoutais Pierre Pascal un matin, ils nous ont dit, à Ville-la-Salle, il passe des Indiens, il y a une barricade, ils demandent des gens, ils ne sont pas assez. On a dit, c'est parfait. Nous, on n'aura pas le trajet à faire, aller jusqu'à l'autre bord. On s'est envenu ici pour appuyer Monsieur Poirier. Je veux dire,
Ça serait peut-être bon aussi avertir les ambulances, là, parce qu'ils sont pas au courant, puis ils sont neutres, il paraît, supposément. Mais là, d'aider les Warriors à transporter du lait puis du pain, il n'y en a plus question, parce que qu'est-ce qui va arriver? Il n'y aura pas une ambulance qui va passer ici. Ça, c'est pas... On passe pas à côté de ça. C'est fait.
C'est les autres, maintenant, qui n'ont pas manqué de passer de la nourriture dans les ambulances. C'est pas nous autres.
Une manière de se camoufler.
Là, ils passeront encore, les ambulances. Mais ils vont être réellement très bien vérifiés pour que ça soit du monde malade.
On est des gens civilisés, on n'est pas des sauvages.
Only ambulances cross the bridge, and every patient is examined.
Nous, on va agir. Les citoyens vont agir de la salle et autant les citoyens de Châteauguay et les environs qui vont agir demain matin. Fait que le gouvernement se réveille pour une fois pour toutes, c'est la dernière chance qu'on leur donne. C'est clair et net, ça. J'espère qu'on va y aller en grand nombre demain matin là-bas, puis qu'il va y avoir du monde ici demain matin pour empêcher tout Indien de traverser au moment.
Everybody is waiting for something to happen. Days earlier, the Mohawk negotiating team was taken by surprise. The government side pulled out. The Prime Minister labels their demands bizarre. Now, the Federal Minister of Indian Affairs says the call for talks on sovereignty is unacceptable. It would lead to the balkanization of Canada. Premier Bourassa issues a second 48-hour ultimatum. Surrender, or the army, the last resort, will be put to the test. The next day, the Canadian Prime Minister calls the Mohawk warriors a band of terrorists. Fear has turned to panic. Hundreds of Kahnawake residents evacuate. The safest route is over the water to a new landing site the mob has not discovered. Each person arriving has been listed for the police.
Well, why are they being checked? For what? Security. Tell me, who told you? Is it a federal statement? Is it a provincial statement that has made this park off limits? We made our work. Why? I don't have a right to express my opinion now? If I want, I take a box and I stand there and I talk. It's called democracy. But leader has changed the conditions in which the army must carry out its orders. We are now entering
military operation.
The Army action, codename Operation Dismantlement, is on. The Quebec Premier has ordered the International Observer Team to withdraw. A full brigade is mobilized. CF-5 aircraft, Army helicopters, and a gunboat are standing by to provide cover. One journalist would describe the scene best. We are about to become a nation which, forced to choose between a potential massacre and a long drive to work, chose the massacre. Later that day, women with young children, the elderly, and infirm are being evacuated across the Mercier Bridge.
And all of a sudden you just see like rocks flying, and at first they weren't stopping them. They were not stopping these people. And I guess all of a sudden it got out of hand, and then finally they started to, like that's enough. They didn't care if it was old people, young people, they didn't care what it was. They were just destined to get these Indians, more or less, I don't know what the hell they want to do, but...
You expect that before you left?
No. They told us, okay, that everything was under control, that there was going to be a lot of policemen, everything was going to be taken care of, we were going to go through peacefully, and that was it. And all of a sudden we go through it. And what pisses me off is if they knew this was going to happen, as soon as they seen all these people coming, they should have told us, turn around and go back. Instead, it was like, no, just go, 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 and that was it. These people had no pity for anybody, that's for sure.
An elderly man suffers a heart attack. The police don't make a single arrest. A week later, his friends bury him.
Okay, come on, come around. Yeah.
Armstrong Joseph, at Ganawaki on September 2nd, aged 71 years, beloved husband of Nancy Montour, dear father of Dina, Roger Dibo, Thomas, Colleen Jacobs, also survived by 4 grandchildren, Christine, Kristen, Blair, Hannah.
The stoning of Mohawks shocked Canada and the world. The Canadian Prime Minister, speaking from his Meech Lake retreat, would call the event deplorable and unacceptable. He would say, Canada, with all of its good fortune, is regrettably not free from traces of racism. Racism, at any time, under any circumstance, is an evil.
May the benediction of our Lord descend upon you, Joe, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Is there any reason for people to stand together as a country? Do they need to fight a common enemy to be able to live together? Canada never had a revolution. The country was born out of compromise. There have been a few wars to be remembered, but even those tested Canadian unity. It was said, the 20th century belongs to Canada. Will a Canada even exist in the 21st? This Legion branch has the largest active membership in Canada. Soon, their numbers will increase when 30 volunteers return home after serving in the Persian Gulf.
The politicians look at us like horse manure under your foot. And I don't think we deserve that either, because all this vast country here belonged to us at one time. And to protect our little place where we dwell nowadays, like the size of a postage stamp,
and they're still trying to reach out and get that out from under us.
Et là, non, mais OK, ça va, mais je sais pas comment ça va fonctionner, mais je vous dis que dans 5 minutes, là, ce que je voudrais, c'est que le ministre va venir ici, vous organiser avec les caméras.
Dorval Hilton. The 48 hours are up. Informal talks have been going on non-stop. Quebec Native Affairs Minister John Chiacha.
We have agreed on many elements, and we will now continue our discussions later this evening.
Chiacha had been hoping for a peaceful solution to the standoff, even though his government had officially pulled out. The group almost reaches an agreement. Then, the federal delegate at these talks shocks everyone when he announces he has no mandate.
I can't make any comments on the military action.
They're supposed to be answering to the provincial government.
Well, they're not answering to the Minister of
Quand
Native Affairs.
vous aurez annoncé cette entente, M. Chiacha,
The talks have become meaningless. Chiacha has been undermined.
I think that
for the events stemming from the July 11th.
no, I think that matters of that nature are better be left to the discussion between the parties, and we will see what the contents of the agreement is if we and when we get a final agreement.
Merci. I know, but we'll see. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, the Mohawks of Kanesatake. Jerry Peltier.
Jerry what? Jerry what?
Peltier. I'll let Chief Joe Norton speak for the people on the Kahnawake situation, but so far that discussions are going in a positive manner.
I believe that right at this very moment right now there is a press conference being held, I believe in Kahnawake, with regard to the opening of, I believe it's Highway 132? 132. If I'm not mistaken, 132 and Mercier Bridge. At least the preliminary work to begin that is going to take place, and they're holding a press conference there regarding that. With that announcement, with that type of arrangement between the military,
the Army and warriors at Kahnawake are arranging for a peaceful reopening of the Mercier Bridge.
It does away with any armed invasion or any kind of situation that may arise, conflict or anything of that nature. That's all I have to say.
Just as a peaceful resolution to the conflict seems at hand, the Quebec Premier issues a terse statement. Talking is off for good.
The 2nd Battalion of the Vandus hit the road this morning, troops whose predecessors fought in some of the great battles of this century, now heading for a showdown at a golf course.
When the Army comes into play, it's not the Tinkertoys game. You've got to be aware of that, eh? It's got to be serious. It means that society has decided to resort to that means of action because others had been more or less exhausted.
Society, it seems, is not interested in negotiated settlements, but wants a show of force. Natives are taken by surprise. Some of them feel this is revenge because the Meech Lake Accord was blocked by an Indian. But the established order is also faced with widespread discontent. The Quebec sovereignty movement is on the rise again. The ruling federal Conservatives have fallen to an all-time low in popularity. It is time to show the electorate their governments have the situation in hand. The public is waiting for something to happen, but nothing has changed. The bridge they have all been waiting for to open is still closed. It may be a week or more before it opens. Nobody knows. The event that everyone has been waiting for is a letdown. Despite all the armed buildup, the posturing, the threats, there is no pitched battle to entertain the crowds. Only general policing. Dismantling of barricades and filling of tank traps is about as exciting as it gets. The work will take days. There were other details to settle. Someone had to explain what happened to the hundreds of warriors who were supposed to have been in Kahnawake. Only a few are seen during the cleanup. How could they vanish? Nobody is quite sure where the rumor started. 15 aircraft takeoffs and landings, spiriting off warriors and arms. No eyewitnesses ever surfaced. Nor was there any trace of the warrior submarine that the SQ was reported to have been looking for. The women of Kahnawake become the only voice for the community. There are few men around. Any one of them might be on a wanted list. This is the largest and most significant demonstration of the summer, and the press can't get here to witness it.
Put in the middle. Hey, Joe! Let me see him.
The next day, the press is brought in by boat.
What's your function? What's your responsibility at the Mohawk Nation office?
I'm one of the workers.
Your name again? It's
Are you concerned?
Eva Johnson.
Yeah. Are you concerned with what happened today at the St. Catherine barricade? Do you know what happened?
Yeah, my sister and her 2 children were attacked last night at the St. Catherine barricade with SQ standing by and letting my 5-year-old nephew get scared half to death. That'll never happen again. The SQ is no better than the Nazis that Hitler had in his country, and that's what they're doing. This is a police state, and they've got no consideration for nobody, not even their own people. The SQ has to be, if I had my way, they'd be exterminated.
Yeah, well, madam, how come the whites are saying the same thing against the SQ? They're saying
because
that
they're treated
protecting you too much.
Every time we try to stand up for ourselves, we're arrested. If 20 citizens from the outside attack one of us, they're gonna arrest us. So last night, ask my little nephew and niece how they felt when 20 of the residents outside of St. Catherine's were not stopped by the SQ when they were trying to bust the windows, when they were trying to turn over the car, and the SQ stood there and did not make a move to help those people.
What about the army? They didn't do
Finally, the army seen what was going on, and they just told my sister to come through, and I think she ran over somebody's foot trying to get away in safety. And this is after all the conditions were met of our people over here. We're opening the roads, we're going to be opening the bridge. So now that everything looks good, they're letting the people just go crazy, and then they still want bloodshed in
But the army gave you some food yesterday night.
The army helped us to bring in some food. Yeah, they didn't get us food. They helped us to bring in some food safely, because a man was stopped with 2 loaves of bread and some milk by the SQ, saying you're not allowed to bring no food into Kahnawake.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We can go back now by the bus?
I will see. I will arrange it if that's what you wish, but we were hoping...
We wish.
I think it's about time that Mulroney and Bourassa use white people should get together, and I think they should be fired. They cannot run the country. They can run in peace. What's going to happen to you white people when you are? You're going to be next. This is like Hitler. That's just the way they're running it. And it's going to happen to you white people. Don't forget that. You're already fighting on the outside. You're all going to be. You have a dark skin over there. They'll cut you on the street and they're going to beat you up and kill you just like everybody else. And you look like Indians yourself.
All summer, there were rumors about sabotage of the bridge. Old car flares covered in cobwebs are the only things recovered. Times have changed. The Mercier Bridge, built by Mohawks, was named after Honoré Mercier, an almost forgotten premier of Quebec, an honorary chief of Kahnawake. His great-granddaughter would write a letter to a newspaper to denounce the use of the army against Mohawks.
Inspection of the bridge complete?
I don't think so, because I'm waiting for some of my men who are doing another part of the bridge. We completed a portion of it, and us, we're working on just on the federal portion of the bridge. Somebody else is working on the provincial.
Before the blockade, the Mercier Bridge was under repair, and on the Montreal side, the access roads were under construction. Unfortunately, little work was done during the standoff. Commuters who have waited all summer for the Mohawk blockades to be lifted will now have their patience tested to the limit. New barricades will be set up by the Roads Department. Traffic will be down to single lanes. In Kahnawake, the women demonstrate their support for the last holdouts at the Oka Pines. They have blocked the highway leading to the Mercier Bridge.
We feel this is now our time to point out to the country, the world, that the women in Kahnawake are serious about making a point of our support of what is happening here, to support our men, to support our women and children in Kanehsatake. I can speak for myself personally. If there's bloodshed in Kanehsatake, my spirit will die. It's not come across enough that we brought up those men to do what they're doing.
The Army has asked to cross this point, but the women refuse and decide to spend the night. The Army had only negotiated with the men. Now, they are made to realize that the women are a real political force in the community. The next day, the Army holds new positions on the edge of town. There is no way in or out except past these new checkpoints.
Well, they came in, they positioned their tanks, and the guns were aiming at homes. There's a house over there, has a woman and a child in it.
The Army's only mandate was to remove the barricades and reopen the bridge. Now, they are given a new mission. That evening, the Army provides cover as the SQ raids the Longhouse, the spiritual center of traditional Mohawks. This is the first time in over a decade that the SQ sets foot in Kahnawake.
Can you just quickly tell us what's going on in there?
Well, we've just been invaded by about 40...
Sorry?
We've been invaded by the Army. About 40 PCs, all armed. And SQ is in there also, in the Longhouse. They hit women and children.
Are the SQ in the Longhouse?
In the Longhouse,
in the Longhouse. Have they said what they're doing there?
I have no idea. They're in there with Grand Chief Joe Norton and Billy Two Rivers right now.
Is it true that the women hit the soldiers? Is that...
Ma'am, I don't want to comment one way or the other if the women hit us or we hit the women. All I can say is once the press is allowed in, I'm sure there'll be spokespersons there that will help you in anything that you need to know.
The search was effected under a legal search warrant by the Sûreté de Québec. The military was there to provide, once again, the cordon and protection for the Sûreté so that they could carry out their search without interference. The search was conducted last evening, and a number of arms and military equipment were found, including the 50 caliber Barrett machine gun, a range of 1,500 meters, which has the capability of penetrating any and all of the vehicles that I have under my command. When we approached to conduct our cordon, there were numerous women on the spot who were blocking the route to the Longhouse.
They were injured?
I am told of one lady who did require medical assistance afterwards, was taken away in an ambulance. That particular lady, prior to being injured, had used her knee in a very private part of the soldier in front of her and had attempted to take his weapon away from her. The individual, or the soldier at that point, yes, was required to use force to keep control of his weapon.
These gentlemen don't have any weapons. They have been disarmed and charged for carrying their service revolvers. The chief of the peacekeepers and his deputy appear in court. Their lawyer announces the judge isn't prepared to hear the case.
As far as we're concerned, within the community of Kahnawake, the peacekeepers will carry arms and will do their jobs as peace officers as they are. Any other questions?
Have you been able to determine who instituted the order to pick our men up?
From what I understand, the decision to apprehend the two peacekeepers and to have them sign promises to appear was made by the provincial police. It is my understanding, notwithstanding that the ball is being bounced back and forth between the army and the police, that it was the police who gave directions to the army. The decision that was made, in my opinion, was a very poor decision, a bad exercise of judgment. At this time, in the history of the Mohawk people, and given the context of what's happened over the summer and this fall, it was a very bad decision, a bad exercise of discretion by the provincial police to pursue this matter. Any other questions? Thank you.
The charges are never pursued, but the provincial government would continue its attempt to take over policing of Native communities. Meanwhile, the Super Bingo Hall, which has been closed all summer, has been dealt another blow.
I'm trying to say it's a military operation, but then every time the SQ go to the courts, they get an injunction to break the doors down on people's homes and businesses. And when it comes to that, they state that it's a police operation in that aspect. The only thing they do is protect the SQ, the army, when they come in and do that.
They don't have a warrant.
So every time they intimidate us, we're supposed to bow down, right?
Are they intimidating anybody?
Yeah. Do they have a search warrant?
I don't know.
Where's the search warrant? You don't know.
I don't know.
I'm asking you. You come here, you know.
I don't know.
They're
All I
under
got was
civil
a
law.
call.
Under civil
All
law,
I
they're
got
supposed to have a
was a call
search
to
warrant.
come here.
Yeah, well, you
That's
just
it.
don't know.
Well, if that's
Well,
what
give
they
us some
need, if
answers
that's what
then.
they
You're
want,
yelling at us
fine.
again.
Look,
Well, give us some
I'm
answers.
just asking you nice, Kirk. That's all.
Everyone is on edge. Nobody knows when the next raid will come or where the police and army will hit next.
Any problems here?
I understand.
Okay.
Bow down to every.
He doesn't understand. Maybe you could explain it to him.
Wow.
What do they suspect to find?
The search warrant, there was a search warrant. The search warrant included suspicion of arms, various different types of arms and munitions.
And who's conducting it, the Army?
The Army conducted the cordon. The cordon is securing the outside portion. The Sûreté Québec are doing the inside search.
Okay, so as long as we stay outside the perimeter, we're
That's
okay?
right. You can film from anywhere outside of the cordon, but while the search is going on, no one's allowed inside the cordon.
Okay, thanks very much.
Bye.
The tyranny of the majority continues every day.
No arms are found inside. Cartons of cigarettes and soft drinks are seized from this old roadside flea market.
So how do they get something like this for Kahnawake territory?
According to their laws, they say that the provincial criminal code applies over all lands in Quebec.
Want me to tell them right now to get the hell out of here right now? This is private property. Belongs to my grandmother.
Are you the owner of the...
Yeah, I own Kahnawake.
Yes?
I'm the owner, yeah.
Do you speak French? No?
Yeah.
Vous parlez français?
Oui.
Est-ce que vous pouvez me dire ce qui arrive présentement? Est-ce que vous
Les
pouvez...
Chris ici.
Well, they say this was a weapons seizure.
There was nothing that they seized. What they walk away with, cigarettes. If you want weapons, there, look, there's a weapon right there. That's a weapon. The only weapons we have, the only weapon I have is this in my brain, in my mouth.
This is just where they killed David Cross, the SQ. They came in, they killed him right over there, the SQ. Unprovoked.
Shot him 5 times, and this is who you're protecting.
They shot David Cross dead over a traffic violation 10 years ago. The community has not forgotten. The issue remains. Who has jurisdiction over native lands? Quebec or Ottawa, or the native people themselves? Can governments tolerate a nation within a nation? This is not the first time that Native people have been crushed in their attempt at sovereignty. Louis Riel was hanged for trying. This had been the summer when sovereignty had become the major concern of Canada. Not just native sovereignty, but Quebec sovereignty and Canada's survival.
Yeah, well, as far as we're concerned, the occupation of Kahnawake is totally illegal. The government or the military is just serving as a puppet for the long-term goals of the province, especially Bourassa. I think that what he's doing is preparing the groundwork for the eventual separation of Quebec, and he wants to crush he doesn't want an Indian problem to be involved with the separation of Quebec. I think that he has gone well beyond the area of public security, and the army is merely a puppet of the SQ.
So, in other words, the SQ is in charge of the army. That's your impression?
Oh yeah, it's I mean, the illegality there is that a national army is put in the hands of a provincial jurisdiction, which is absolutely wrong. There's no parliamentary consent. There's no national consent, and for any army to be subject to the whims of the likes of Bourassa is very, very dangerous. The military over here are just escorting the SQ to go and do whatever they wish in the Indian community, and I just feel that it's very, very dangerous, and Indian people should look carefully at what's happening to Kahnawake right now. Could possibly happen to everybody across this country.
English?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me tell you one thing right now, I'm getting the groundwork straight. I'm a contractor, I got 3 buildings in town, 2 on the highway here, so I'm in and out here all the time. So you can look now, but don't think you're checking me every goddamn time.
Yeah, after I see
I'm a medical technician with the fire department, I'm a contractor, so I'm just telling you now, because during the day, I'm in and out here 7, 8 times a day. 25 men work in total, 3 buildings there, 2 here, so I'm all over the place. So
if you have complaint to do, make this to the police.
Which police?
Not to me.
Which police?
The SQ or...
SQ?
Check what? What are you checking about?
My job, I have to check if somebody...
What, are you going to check me on my reserve?
No other choice.
What do you mean, no other choice?
You're lucky. Go. The ambulance have to pass. Là, aux entraînements, les ai revirés l'autre jour. T'es quasiment rendu dans les chars avec moi.
We have to walk back to the Longhouse. They tried to destroy our spirit from invading it, and we're going to walk back and take back our Longhouse.
It's been 2 weeks since the Mercier Bridge has reopened, and the village is still cordoned off by the army. The band council has said the army presence is illegal and challenges it in court. The town residents call this Eviction Day and serve the army notice.
Such as the Sûreté de Quebec, the Canadian Armed Forces, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, etc. This eviction is immediate and irrevocable, and the contravention of such will be dealt with according to the Great Law of Peace. From the Kahnawake Rono.
I happen to be a veteran on the Second World War, and I went through quite a bit of it. And we never stoned children, men, women, and old men. This must be a different kind of a people altogether. And when we got to a place where people were hungry, we gave them food, medicine, and we took care of them. We never beat them. We never stoned anybody. You know, in the good books, you people believe in the good books.
Joe Deere. He tells the media he still brings chocolate to his friend Walter Leja, confined to a veterans hospital for the last 30 years. Leja was crippled trying to disarm a bomb placed in a mailbox by FLQ terrorists.
One of the gentlemen, he's also a veteran of the Second World War, died from that frightened thing he had. He had a bad heart and going through there. with a rock going through the windshield. The man died a few days after that. Now, what kind of a people are you anyway? And then yet you call us terrorists. Do we have to kill some of these soldiers to get some honors?
Well, listen, I don't want to get into a pissing contest with the situation here. Okay, the situation, keep things calm. That's all we're after. All right.
Were they able to deliver the petition to 278?
Yeah, I received it, ma'am. I haven't looked at it yet. I'll look at it later, ma'am.
Will you be passing it on to somebody else?
Well, I'll read it first, and I'll see what it says.
We want to understand what you talk about. You understand everything we say. When you talk that language, that's all bullshit.
You're on Indian land. Talk Indian. Yes, we the park.
This is not French. This is Kahnawake. I'm a veteran myself. I fought for this goddamn country, and I'm ashamed of you fucking guys. I'm really ashamed. You guys are not even human. You're a bunch of French pigs.
Shame on you! Look around, you'll see lots of non-natives. There's a lot of support out there.
Il reste environ une vingtaine de personnes autour de mon véhicule. Le reste, on va tourner vers le village.
He is told, be polite and don't do anything to get them upset. It used to be thought of as a non-violent sport until the mayor of Oka wanted another 9 holes. At Kahnawake, Mohawks themselves have a 9, an 18, and a 36-hole golf course for a total of 63 Mohawk holes. That doesn't include this one. A stone's throw from the Longhouse, the Kahnawake Golf Club. It's been here since 1914. Very exclusive. For 2 months, while the barricades were up, membership were mildly inconvenienced. Now, things seem to be returning to normal.
You didn't get to play too much this summer?
Well, we were invited to the other clubs, you know. Yeah. But we still got a lot to play in.
Do you think that standoff will affect the membership drive or any of that?
I don't think so.
No.
We're all friends with the locals. They all work at the club and everything, you know. All the staff was still employed while the trouble was on. And, yeah, no problems.
They're getting closer, they're inching their way in every day. They get a little bit closer every day. And they don't want us to do nothing. Oh, we're going to create an incident. Man, what the hell is this bullshit? We wake up, they'll be standing next to our bed with their fucking gun pointing at our head.
Commandant? Asshole? Or queer? You look like you got the knob a lot.
He doesn't need money, he's a policeman.
Ask you to open the trunk or you leave your car there. Simple as that.
We're not a policeman.
Yes, he is a policeman.
Yes, I am.
The policeman here is the peacekeeper.
You want to open it?
Back up and let her stay there. That's it.
I don't get this hassle when I cross the United States border. I don't get this hassle. I've never been hassled. They asked me who I am. I says a North American Indian.
That's fine, sir. I got a job to do.
You have a job. I have a country. I have a reservation.
Ask him his name.
This is a reservation.
Ben, sors de là, Francis.
What's your rank?
Francis, sors de là. Viens.
What's your rank? What's your rank?
I got a weapon. You want to take it from me?
You can take my name,
No, we want to name the young people, but you're here, so I'm asking you. You're one of his messengers?
I'm not in contact.
Okay. Nhau ko. What ke kwatko? Nhau. Tada ni ko. Nhau ko. I pass here every day. I pass twice a day. Twice a day I open. Twice a day I give you my license. Twice a day I give you my registration. That seems ridiculous to me. I mean, this is straight harassment. That's all it is. There's no reason for this every time. You see my face here every day. And every day you do the same thing to me. Twice a day I pass. I work over here at Canada Industry. I don't do nothing. I have no guns. I have no weapons. I have nothing in my car. I'm a businessman. There's my car that I work over there, and I can't understand why. All the time it's the same thing, over and over and over again. For 20 goddamn years, nobody bothered me. I don't carry nothing in my car.
September 18th, International Peace Day. Tekakwitha Island, the western edge of the village. The army is landing in force. It looks as if they are about to cross the bridge and invade the community. At the other end of the island, behind the troops, the SQ have come in by boat to conduct a search. But no one explains why all these troops are needed. There are no answers. There is a lot of anger. Mohawks are resisting. They fear a total occupation, and they are fed up with the army presence.
Jesus Christ!
The tear gas has reached Kateri Hospital, the nearest building to the island. It houses the elderly.
And I understand if you have injuries, you have to take care of them. I hope we
June DeLille, the hospital director. Her patients have been affected by the gassing.
I'm sure they need you more in Kuwait than we need you here. God bless you. Remember, I'm Mohawk and I'm the Bear Clan. And you remember the Bear Clan is medicine clan, and it is strong. Remember my people. I grew up here and I wore Mounties clothing and your blanket. I'm 63 years old. I wore made over Mounties coats when I had to go to school. Okay, and I used your old army blankets. We got the bag of beans once a year to sort out so we could. I'm not kidding you. I never tell lies, and this is the God's truth. Please remember that in your dreams.
Stay here. Just stay here.
They say they found weapons.
And go home and tell your mama you got your ass kicked. Get your fucking Girl Scouts out of here!
I got fucking fucking beat up at the Longhouse too, along with all the other women, and nobody did a goddamn thing. Where were you?
Attacking them.
Please.
We're not going to solve it by attacking them either. Stay right here.
I'll give them the satisfaction. Stand tall. They didn't mean nothing. They even got one of those votes.
Yeah, but are they going? They're not going to stay in the bushes?
What do you want to do? You want to go out there and kick their ass?
Yeah. Let's go.
Ass kicking time.
Tell a light, tell a knife. That's
That's right. All women on the front run over by the APC.
One officer would later tell reporters, "The strong resistance surprised us. It was amazing the way they reacted, since we weren't at the Longhouse or a sacred place."
The pilots ain't good enough.
What the Army didn't understand is that Mohawks believe that the land itself is sacred. 7 hours have passed. The Army isn't here because they want to be. They can't get out. They want to cross the bridge and exit through the village. But the community holds the bridge. The Army will have to go back the way they came. The troops wait. The journalists file their stories.
That's right. Later on, as the crowd pushed the military further and further back on the island, it got quite tense. One native person, one Mohawk man, attacked a soldier right in. I was an eyewitness to that. Things got quite ugly, and warning shots were fired, at least 12 shots into the air in order to calm things, which of course had quite the opposite effect. And the military then pulled back. And right at the moment now, we have a process whereby the military is removing itself step by step towards where the helicopters are awaiting them.
This was the biggest military operation since the Labor Day weekend push on the Oka barricades and the opening up of the Mercier Bridge. And if anything, it proves that the situation here remains highly volatile. Ken Ernhofer, CTV News, Ganawage.
This is a time period in which peaceful things should be done now.
Now, I saw you go after one of the guys.
No, it wasn't me.
Well, I saw one of the guys. Wait, no, but just your feeling of what sparked that.
Anger. They have no business here. If they're acting under the direction of the provincial government, they have no business here whatsoever. They're no different than the SQ. They're here under Barras's orders. And they're to get out now. They've already been served their eviction notice. They're past due to leave here.
Okay, thanks.
Joe? And if anything, it proves that the situation at Ganawage and Ganasatake remain highly volatile. Ken Ernhofer, CTV News, Ganawage.
Okay, Ken?
Okay.
I like your first one, but they don't give a damn about cigarettes. They don't give a damn about bingo. It's just an excuse for them, okay? The politics of this community is that we are sovereign people. We are Mohawk Nation people. This is our jurisdiction. We will patrol it. We will make our own laws over here, and and the government doesn't want that. The government says no, you have to obey provincial law, federal law, etc., etc., etc. That's what's behind this.
Nous autres, nous parlons de notre cœur. Les autres, ils parlent d'autres moyens. Nous autres, nous ne comprenons pas des choses comme ça.
If anybody's terror is criminals in this country, it's the SQ. They're the ones who've intimidated Native people as well as they've intimidated white people too. You talk to a lot of Francophones, Anglophones, and people who are considered ethnic minorities in this province, and you'll find out.
After an 8-hour search at the other end of the island, the SQ have left by boat unnoticed. This is another turning point in the crisis. The Army will announce it has done its job and it intends to go home. The Army withdrawal is stalled. It was called as an aid to civil power at the provincial government's pleasure. Until such time as it hears otherwise, the Army is here to stay.
Stopped you? They stopped me. They want to see my driver's license, my registration. They want to know my name, and then they want to check my trunk. And I said,
Chief Norton is headed for Ottawa, where Parliament reopens tomorrow.
So I'm demanding under what orders, under what section, under what law that they're doing this. And they're now checking up the ladder to find out if they can give me that information. You ask any police officer and he can tell you on the spot. These guys have to go through 25 different layers of bureaucracy and whatever else before they can give you an answer.
While the government was on holiday, the country was on the brink of civil war. There were scores of blockades and demonstrations of support right across Canada. Now, with Parliament about to reconvene, the feeling is the crisis will be ended to avoid a debate in the House. Norton never makes it to Ottawa.
Sorry, what came of your meeting with Mr. Chadwick?
As a journalist?
I believe, after having talked today with government officials and with Mohawk leadership, that both parties are much closer than one may think.
Jesse Jackson, former U.S. presidential candidate, ambassador of peace, is here at Kahnawake to do a segment for his new television show. The events of the last 2 months will be the backdrop.
I want you to spend basically most of your time bases cutaways.
Okay.
Following Joe, no? Well, if Joe's speaking, yes. But okay. Otherwise...
Understand. Yes. That's good.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
He has been to South Africa, Lebanon, Iran. He likes being in the public eye.
All these little potatoes and stuff. Was just gonna scare me half to
Let me express my thanks to you, Chief, for being so generous in your time today and for sharing very vital information with our delegation. There is a world war brewing in the Middle East. And yet, if talking is impossible, war is inevitable, we must seek alternatives to peace in the Middle East.
The other territory that is also located in this area, it's Aguizaste. That's the other Mohawk territory, which is also under siege.
I'm going to need to leave.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Arnold, I love it. I love it. Thank you, friend.
Jackson gets his TV shots just in time. 2 days later, the siege at Oka ends. Mohawk checkpoint, Ganawage.
Others made it down the hill into town.
78 days, longer than the siege at Wounded Knee.
But instead of just leading them into a bus, they roughed them up.
5 Mohawks were taken into SQ custody. Natives who gathered in the town were furious.
The people here are shocked by what they see on television. Nobody has been killed, but it has ended in anger and confusion.
The natives say it was a double cross. Clergy and lawyers who were supposed to join them weren't allowed in, and the buses to take them to Farnham weren't there.
In Ganawage, the most dangerous confrontation happened after the siege had ended.
Earlier on tonight, one of my sections of 6 men and 1 vehicle was manning its normal post when a crowd of several hundred Mohawks arrived and started to jeer and attack them with rocks and come forward to attack them with axe handles.
There was a Mohawk person injured tonight, is that correct?
I don't know about a Mohawk injured. One of my soldiers got a lead pipe across the side of his head and he has been evacuated to the hospital.
Who ordered this operation tonight, Lieutenant Colonel?
This operation was commenced by the Mohawks for no apparent reason. They tell me it was in reaction to an earlier operation, whether it either be what they saw on the TV at Oka or whether it was to a sweep by the 3rd Battalion of the Royal 22nd Regiment on Ile St. Nicolas, which to my understanding is not a part of the reserve, but which the Mohawks claim is a part of Ganawake. They say that this is in reaction to that. I have no way of confirming that, and I have no idea if there were people injured on the Mohawk side.
How far are you authorized to go in the case of a so-called riot like this?
Okay, our orders are to ensure that we maintain the life of people, anybody who is threatened, whether it be our soldiers or citizens. If we have to use deadly force in order to protect the life of somebody, we will do so.
In English, did you fire into the crowd?
We did not fire into the crowd, we fired warning shots into the air.
There was a report that someone was shot. I don't know if he got hit or not, but I know a couple guys got hit with the tear gas grenades. They got hit in the legs.
Is that firing an accidental or?
No, I mean they aimed right at the guys and shot them in the legs with the tear gas.
What time was that?
Oh, this was, I don't know, about an hour ago, I guess.
Prior to that, there was an altercation with several people, and several were shot with rubber bullets. I saw 2 of them here that evening. One had basically a laceration of the outer aspect of the the upper part of the left lower leg, and the other gentleman had multiple fragments in his forearm. We extracted the fragments and cleaned it up, and he did quite well.
The last of 3,700 troops will be returning to their bases. 1,500 journalists have packed up and gone.
And I want to contact somebody who's in charge for the SQ in the region. Would you have a phone number?
These are the women who held off the army at Oka. They have returned to Ganawage. A week later, the men return. They have just been released from detention. It's 10:45. The whole town turns out to welcome them home. Their first port of call, the Knights of Columbus building, named after the alleged discoverer of America. It's not a happy day for everyone. Earlier, Quebec Native Affairs Minister John Chiacha and Sam Elkis, the minister in charge of the SQ, were demoted. These are the so-called warriors. Millions saw them on television, camouflage outfits and masks. The media had made them stars. It's midnight. The masquerade is over.
Richard Tuax, Ganawagi.
Richard Tuax, alias Boltpin, ex-ironworker.
Mike Mayo, Ganawagi.
Mike Mayo, carpenter.
Galileo, Ganazadog.
Joe David, stone carver, artist, sculptor.
Robert Skitters, Akwesasne.
Robert Skitters, Mad Jack, former band counselor, retired.
Kevin Stanger, Algonquin Nation.
Kevin Stanger, Little Bear, student.
Gerald Marquis, Ganawagi.
Gerald Marquis, slim, ironworker. Noel Cataford, Christmas. Leroy Gabriel, splinter, community worker. Todd Dybo, teenager. Nancy Deere, secretary, Mohawk Survival School, grandmother.
Lorraine Montour, Ditnoanya, Mohawk Nation.
Lorraine Montour, former clan mother.
Laura Norton, what's the deal? Mohawk
Laura
Nation.
Norton, placement officer, Employment Canada. Lorna Delormier, manager, Ganawagi Flea Market.
Kathy Sky, Josurate, Ganawagi.
Kathy Sky, nurse.
Susan Oak, Ginyatahawi, Ganasadage.
Susan Oak, journalist, CKHQ-FM, Ganazadage.
We got 5 guys still in detention from TC. That's Lasagna, Noriega, Psycho, Eldridge, and Roger Lazor. And people should be there for them on Wednesday when they go for their bail hearing. And when they come out, we're going to have another big party, too.
In the coming months, the men and women who were at Oka will be taken up with court trials and fundraising for their defense. Now, the accountants tally up the bill for the crisis. Over $200 million. The final cost may never be known. The Mohawk Warrior flag also flies at The Hague, where they have a permanent delegation. They have made representations to the UN in Geneva and await a report from the European Parliament.
How many of these checkpoints are there?
I don't
Couple,
know.
3, 4?
There's a few of them.
And there's guys 24 hours a day at these checkpoints?
Yep, 24 hours a day, and they're doing a really good job, these guys. Because we wouldn't be sleeping. A lot of us are not even sleeping good at night right now. You know, you think this would have been over a long time ago. All the discussions and everything that was told that were going to be done apparently haven't been done, because you could see for yourself there. You're traveling along these highways. The SQ are all over the place, and a lot of people in the community have been harassed. Even so, for these little things, low pressure in tires, light little things. They're just provoking us. They're I don't know how to say it, agitating us? Or?
The Oka Golf Course, where the summer of violence began. Ottawa has now purchased some land from the town of Oka and claims the dispute is over. The problem is solved. Mohawks claim Ottawa bought the wrong land.
The very piece of land that was at the real heart of the struggle, what we were here all summer for, this very place where the battle is not ours according to their law and their governments. And they have recently, I don't know, they have plans for this town now to make it a tourist haven, you know.
They used to play Super Bingo here. It is now a flea market.
We thought we'd start another business, something that's maybe a little less political, which is the Mohawk Super Flea Market. The Mohawk Super Bingo has been abolished temporarily. It doesn't mean to say it's not ever going to be restarted. It will be. But in the meantime, we want to get a super flea market, really a lucrative flea market going. In some instances, when people are coming here, vendors, especially as they're getting here to come to set up in the mornings, they're being harassed as they come here. We have approached actually the police themselves, and they have said yes, their orders are really to harass people. So it's like no matter what we do, it's like they're going to harass us and bother us. They don't want us to develop our own economy. They don't want us to create jobs. They don't want us to circulate money within the community. They want us to go be spending our money back in Chattagee, and I can tell you that no one is spending money in Chattagee. People in Chattagee, business people, are dying and crying, and unfortunately they're going to have to live with that. We aren't responsible for what they did this summer. We are the victims there as well.
On behalf of the members of my group, I'd like to thank you all very much for your kindness and your warm welcome here today. Behind you on the wall, you see one of the symbols of the European community, whose people we try to represent. 12 stars, representing the 12 states of the European community, representing our peoples in their independence, in their autonomy, in their unique way of doing business. Separate, but united, and that is the symbol of the circle. A symbol of fullness, a symbol of harmony. And it is only by respecting that uniqueness of each human being and of each nation that peace can reign in the world, that harmony can be attained.